Welcome, everybody, to the Heartbeat of Mother Earth Summit. I am your host, Jocelyn Mercado, and I am today going to be interviewed by my dear friend, Taria Ward. Welcome, Taria, to the summit.
Jocelyn, this is very exciting.
And for everybody listening, you will get to learn a lot more about Taria and her work on February 12th, when her interview will air. So for now, I'll tell you just a little bit about her. Taria Ward holds a doctorate in depth psychology. Her passion is in reawakening the indigenous person inside each of us, the self who holds ancient earth wisdom. Taria does private work with clients in her Asheville, North Carolina office, as well as by telephone, and with dream analysis being a specialty focus. So thank you so much, Taria, for doing this interview with me today. And just for everyone listening, I want to tell you a little bit about myself first before we get started too. I am a transformational life coach, a holistic health consultant, author, and environmentalist. And I have been on quite a spiritual journey over the last 7 or 8 years. To tell you just a little about my history and my journey, I suffered from pretty severe depression and anxiety for much of my life, ever since I was a kid, ever since I could remember. And really everything changed for me when I had my first daughter, when I had my first baby. And that was really quite a sacred feminine awakening for me, just a huge transition point in my life. And I really sat back and took a look at, the world that we're living in, the mainstream culture that we're so immersed in, with its stories of separation, that we are separated from one another, that we're separated from nature, and just felt that there's got to be something more. There's got to be more to life, more fulfilling, more meaning. I was also raised Catholic, so I was just feeling that too is it has very good points, but it is a restrictive way of looking at life. It's kind of a limiting way of looking at certain facets of life. And so I just started really reading everything I could get my hands on. I read a lot about all different religions. And what I was really most strongly drawn to was indigenous wisdom and nature-based wisdom and nature-based spirituality. And so that has been my path. But I'm very, very open, and the clients that I work with, are from really, truly all walks of life and all different religions. I feel very strongly that all religions have at their core love, compassion, service to others, and peace and joy, and living a joyful life. So I think that's really the heart of who we are, and that's what's really, really most important. So in any case, I have made just so many incredible self-discoveries and discoveries about different perspectives on life and how the world works. And from all of that, I created Sacred Planet. And it was very much through listening to my intuition, which for years before that I wasn't able to hear at all. But finally being able to listen to my intuition and follow the insights and guidance and support that I received from spirit and from the divine and from the universe, to create Sacred Planet and to start this life coaching practice. And I had worked in finance and project management for over 15 years and decided to take the leap and leave that corporate world and start this type of work. And I have never looked back, and I've been so happy to be doing this. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm so blessed and lucky to be doing these summits, to be creating these online events and talking to amazing people like Taria and all of the amazing and wonderful speakers on the summit. So I do want to share too a little bit about my inspiration for creating this summit, the Heartbeat of Mother Earth. And this was just truly a moment of inspiration as I was working on my last summit, which was the Ancient Wisdom Summit. It just came to me in a flash that your next summit is going to be the Heartbeat of Mother Earth. And so I'll talk a little more about kind of accessing the mystery and hearing our intuition in this interview. But I knew in that moment that was absolutely right. It was the Heartbeat of Mother Earth would be the next summit. And I feel that Gaia is speaking to us so clearly. So many of us are hearing her call these days, and that's what this summit is all about. Is how to hear that call, how to hear that from within you, and also to see the signs in the external world, so that you can follow your own path. So yeah, so that's what this summit is all about, and I hope you will enjoy all 36 interviews. We have some really amazing and wonderful speakers.
Jocelyn, I'm so excited for this subject. As soon as I read what you were doing, I knew that this was the next thing for you. It just felt, for all of us, it just felt so right. And I want to tell you, if I can, that the summit that you had this summer, the Ancient Wisdom and Modern Science Summit, I enjoyed that as much as I've ever enjoyed anything in my life in terms of conference or in any kind of thing, event like that. I came home every night and listened to both talks from that day and made a special sacred space for it. I lit a candle and sat with a little cup of tea or a glass of wine, and sometimes got in the bathtub and listened, but every night it felt like such a journey. And now I have some lasting friends from it, the way that we all tended to connect with each other. I have some really lasting friendships from that. So I'm looking forward again to this summit, and hope that others will find the kind of joy and rich experience that I did in your summit.
Wonderful.
Of the summer.
Yeah. So glad that you got to hear and enjoy all of the interviews. And yeah, I really do. I encourage everybody to listen to all of them if you can, because these speakers they just each bring such unique and very special wisdom. So.
It felt like it put me in a different world, that every day I was going about my day, but looking forward to the talks of that night and thinking about the ones that I just heard the night before. It was really, really a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm very excited about this topic of this particular interview today, which is 4 keys to accessing the mystery.
I wanted to know, what do you mean by accessing the mystery? What are you talking about when you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the mystery is absolutely within every one of us, and it is a part of all creation. So, and when I say the mystery, I mean that kind of spark of magic that exists, you know, that we feel when we look at a beautiful sunset, or when we climb to the top of a mountain and look down at the landscape. The magic that we feel, the awe that is there, that is available and accessible to every single one of us. And I believe it's such an important part of feeling happy and fulfilled and connected to one another and to spirit and to the universal consciousness. It's so critical in for each of us in having joy in our lives, to connect to that mystery. As far as how this relates to this summit in particular, I think that's very important, because Mother Earth she gives life to all creation, to every form of life on this planet. And life itself is a mystery, you know, birth and death, and the miracles of our, you know, our emotions, are how we connect with one another, how we're drawn to, you know, to love, for example, and friendships. All of that is truly a mystery. These are things that science cannot explain. You know, that moment when new life begins, the moment of conception, scientists have a pretty good idea, but that spark, that magical moment, it still cannot be explained on scientific terms. So that's what I mean by the mystery. And these forces, you know, the forces of creation and destruction that form the galaxies, that form the universe, that form the earth, that is also what formed us. And we are a product of the mystery, you know, just by being alive. We are a miracle, we are magic. And it is truly our birthright to have access to feel that mystery, you know, to have, for example, certain animals that stand out for you and that come to you and bring you messages, you know, spirit animals or power animals, to, as you do with many people in your work, Tarja, to feel the wisdom of our dreams, and to be in awe of the symbolism and the messages that are available there to us. Um, and speaking of dreams, for example, the Achuar people of Ecuador and many indigenous people are dream cultures, and they are so tapped into the mystery. It's a matter of survival for them. It's actually very practical for them. They get up every morning at 4 a.m. and they gather in community, and they talk about what their dreams were the night before, and they make their decisions for whether to hunt or fish or stay close to home, based on the messages that were in those dreams. So that's just one example, of how we can live, how we're meant to be living, connected to the mystery, and how that's available for all of us.
I love that, Jocelyn, and I get so excited when the little synchronicities happen, like you just said some kind of thought or prayer and the wind comes and embraces your face. It's like nobody can explain how nature arrives and suggests herself as hearing us. I just love this subject, what you're talking about. Now, what are the 4 ways that you think it's good to access the mystery?
Yes, and there are many ways. There are an infinite number of ways, but there are kind of 4 that I think are fairly easily accessible to people, in modern Western culture. So one is to honor the 4 elements. So earth, air, fire, and water are the building blocks of all creation. These are gifts from Mother Earth. And each of these elements holds a powerful form of the mystery. And so we, as humans, we are really naturally attuned to connect with these 4 elements. So for example, who doesn't love to sit around a campfire or a bonfire and just stare into the fire, and can't you feel the mystery there, the magic, and just kind of feel how infinite we are by just staring into that fire and thinking of how far back in time people have done the same.
Yeah.
Also, for example, I have 2 stones that I'm holding for inspiration during this interview, and they're labradorite, and so these stones are known to bring insights and inspiration when you need it. And so stones are a beautiful way to connect with the earth element. The stones are our grandmothers and our grandfathers. They've been around for billions of years, and they do truly have a certain level of intelligence that we can connect to, a beautiful intelligence. And they can heal us. They can bring us insights. And there's another interview I want to mention on, I believe it's on February 11th coming up, about healing with crystals. It goes into this topic more, so I won't go in too much further into it. But there are these beautiful ways that we can connect with the 4 elements in our everyday life. One way that I recommend is to build an altar or create an altar. And this can just be as simple as, a tray or a little space on a tabletop, and place there each, something to represent each of the 4 elements. So certainly for fire, you can have a candle, and you can light that candle when you come to your altar. And you can have a bowl of water, and one of my teachers says that the bowl of water is so important because you want to add a little water each time you come to the altar. And you can also, clean out, empty the bowl and refill it. And you will know if you've been away from your altar for too long because the water will dry up. And so you can have, for earth, you can have flowers, or you can have stones or crystals, or even a little bit of dirt from your garden, to represent earth. And for air, you could have feathers. There are different things, leaves that could represent air or wind. And so just, decide whether you want your altar to face east, south, west, or north. Whichever way is meaningful to you, whichever way you feel called to receive insights from, and just stand there for a little while every day. Stand there, light the candle, and invite the mystery into your life. and gaze upon those four elements that you have placed there, and gaze at their beauty, and appreciate their beauty, and just ask to be shown more and more of the mystery. And then, just blow out the candle and go about your day and see what happens. So by doing that, you're welcoming in the mystery and asking for it to come to you.
That's beautiful, Jocelyn. Another thing I like to do for the air element is a little bit of sage or frankincense, something like that, that kind of combines the earth element with the fire element and the air element. And there's a mystery there of how that affects the brain. And there's more to it than we realize. It's something beautiful there. I just love your ideas.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you, Taria. And also with burning sage, for example, it is, scientifically shown now that it truly does clear out toxins from the air, clears out bacteria. So when we say that we're clearing space by burning sage, it really does. It truly does make a difference. So on a physical level as well as a spiritual level.
Yeah, science always seems to be coming back around to the ancient ways, and
it really does. Yes,
through the scientific method, the validity of what we've been taught for all this time.
Yes, what we already knew for months.
So, would you share with us some of your experiences of the mysterious events that have sparked your interest in this?
Sure. But I want to share, I want to share the other three that I shared. Yeah, that's okay. That was the first way to connect with the mystery. But yes, I have three more that I want to share with you. So the next one is to really know deeply that the mystery is your birthright, that it is all of our birthright. And very importantly, to go along with this, to let go of all doubt. Because I really think that we all spend so much time feeling like there's something wrong with us, that we're small, that we're insignificant, that what we can do is limited. And this is just the furthest thing from the truth. This is what we're taught in mainstream society, in this society of separation and limitation and dependence on money, but there's so much more. We are each truly a miracle. As I said earlier, life is a miracle. And we are each here for a reason. There are no mistakes. And we are each part of something much bigger than we can even comprehend with our human brains. And we each hold the key to something that the earth really needs right now. And this connects again to, my reasons for creating this summit, that I talk to so many people all around the world, and so many people are hearing this call right now, are hearing a call to drop, whatever it is that you're doing that is not fulfilling, your job that you don't like, or old relationships, or, to leave it behind, to let it go, and to move fully into what you love, into your passion. Because your passion points you toward your mission, and your mission is what you are meant to bring to the world, to change the world for the better, to make the world a better place. So I feel very strongly that we each have a sacred responsibility to, to dig deep, to find the courage to go out and change the world in our own special way, whatever that might be. And of course, it's very different for every person. But to do that, we have to let go of fear. We have to let go of judgments about who we thought we were, and step fully into who we could be. It's really very, very much based in present and future, not in the past. Whatever happened in the past is gone, and what can happen in the future is infinite. And that, and that is the mystery, that we can truly do anything we put our minds to. So when we can accept that, when we can, and it takes time, to move fully into this, but that is very often when the mystery begins to enter our lives, when we accept that there is a divine purpose, and we set out on a path to find it and discover what it is. And so for most people, when they make that commitment to finding their life's purpose, and to letting, kind of magic and mystery come into their lives, that's when synchronicities start to show up. and spirit animals and unexpected opportunities that you never would have thought would arise, start showing up at our doorstep. And this is how we get confirmation that we are connected to the mystery. These little things that happen, like you said, Taria, the wind in your face, or I have certain animals that show up for me. I had deer show up for me this morning, and when I took the dog out, just these little things, these little beautiful messages from nature, um, or from the world. Like I said, unexpected opportunities. Somebody calls with a a new opportunity that you were never expecting. Um, and so what I found in my life was that depression and anxiety fell away the more and more I opened up to this, to my infinite potential, that it really is unlimited what we can do. And also a big part of that is realizing that we're divinely supported and guided at every step. The universe wants us to be happy. Um, so again, all of this is part of a mystery, and a part of the mystery. And when we can let go of that small, flawed idea of ourselves, and open up to our full potential, is when we will find and be able to access the mystery.
And I find that dreams always support us getting to know who we actually are rather than the persona that we've had to develop. The dreams are going to be so in support of that aspect of what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to say something about that too. Dreams and intuition, both, I feel, are very important messengers from the divine. And the thing is, though, that I know for many of us, many people I've talked to, and myself as well, for many, many years, I could not hear my intuition, and I did not remember my dreams. And that can be frustrating. That can be really hard. And so these things take time, but it starts with just the awareness of, I want to remember my dreams. I want to hear my intuition, and it will grow from there. So if you don't remember your dreams, if you can't feel or hear your intuition right now, don't lose hope. It is there. These things are there for us. It's just a matter of opening up and having the courage to let them in. And it happens very gradually. It will be over time that they will come to you more and more. But just every morning or every night when you go to sleep, say, I want to hear my intuition. I want to remember my dreams, and it will start to happen. Setting that intention, I think, is the most important part of it.
Yes, definitely.
So I want to share then the third key to accessing the mystery, and that is developing a regular meditative practice. So this is just so important, and this is of course very individual. For me, I really strongly recommend shamanic journeying, and I'll share why. But I know that may not be for everyone. So whether you meditate, you can do guided meditations, you can do walking meditations. You don't have to sit in silence and try to just block your thoughts for 10 minutes, because that can be really hard. But there are so many resources out there, even if you just search online for guided meditation, or for a walking meditation to listen to, and start doing that on a regular basis. Even if it's not every day, even if it's every other day or every third day, if reducing the pressure of it in that way is helpful, then yes, go ahead, do it every third day, just so that it's regular, just so that it's something, or do it on, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, whatever it is that works for you, but do it regularly. The reason that this is so important is that two things happen when we go into a meditative state. And the meditative state is actually a different brain wave. It will be either the alpha or the theta brain wave. And this is sinking into a different level of consciousness in which we can access not only our own subconscious more easily, our own insights and intuition and inner knowing, but also messages from the divine, and messages from God or spirit or great mystery. however you think of that divine presence. So we're accessing our own inner knowing as well as messages from the divine. And I think that's so important. And that's, that can't happen when we're running around in our hectic, chaotic, mindset that we often carry throughout the day.
Mhm.
We need to make time and space for that to be able to happen. We need to have silence. For some people, it may be going out and sitting by a tree for 10 minutes, at some point in the day, each day or every other day. It may be shamanic journeying. As I said, I really do favor shamanic journeying. I've had tremendous insights come to me when doing shamanic journeying. I think that's for a few reasons. One is the drum beat, so when you're doing shamanic journeying, you're listening to a drum beat or playing a drum, or listening to a rattle, for example. And that repetitive beat, for one thing, some say that the drum beat is the heartbeat of Mother Earth. So that really helps us to get connected. But also just from a brainwave perspective, that drum beat or that rattle helps us to get into a theta brainwave state, which is a much deeper brainwave state, really, really allowing us to connect to spirit. So I think that's so important. I think that just, for me at least, that helps me be able to go deeper and get more insights and hear my own intuition and inner knowing. Also with shamanic journeying, I find that it is really, really useful for setting an intention or asking a question at the beginning of the journey. And even if that question is, I don't know what question I'm supposed to ask, but please tell me whatever it is that's most important for me to know right now. That can be the most important question of all. What is most important for me to know right now? So in shamanic journeying, we get a chance to set that intention or ask that question at the beginning and then wait for an answer and wait and see what comes. And that can be really, really magical. So if there's something that's bothering you, you can do this in your meditative practice as well. If there's something, if you have to make a big decision, if you're trying to decide, whether to take one job or the other, or should I leave this relationship that I know is not good for me, or just big questions like that, you can ask that at the beginning of your meditative practice or your shamanic journeying or your time in nature, and then get really quiet and wait for an answer and see what comes. The answer might not come immediately too. It might not come in that 10 or 15 minute meditation, but it might come 2 days later in an unexpected synchronicity or a spirit animal that arrives, or, different ways. So yeah, that's a very important part, I think, of accessing the mystery.
Can I ask you, when you do your journeying, do you have a tape that does the drum beat? And
I do, yes. I don't have my own drum yet, and I'm in search of a drum. I have put that intention out into the universe, but I don't have a drum yet. So yes, I have certain really beautiful drum beat tracks that I listen to. So that's another thing, if people can be intimidated by shamanic journeying, thinking I have to have a drum, I have to play the drum beat while I do the journey. And you can really start out by listening to a beautiful drum beat that someone else has created.
And it's usually 10 or 15 minutes that the journey lasts, or do you do longer?
That's what I do. Sometimes I will do 30 minutes, but I usually find that 10 to 15 is enough to find the answers that I need, for me.
And when you meditate, is it usually 10 or 15 minutes, or do you have a recommended time that you think of?
I think 10 or 15 minutes is good for any of these, because at least to start out, because it's really doable. You can really fit that into your daily schedule, either, first thing when you wake up, or right before you go to bed, or maybe in the middle of the day when you get to take a break. But I do sometimes, when I feel it's important, when I feel called to stay in that place longer than I do, then I might either stay out in nature for a couple of hours if I feel that's important to do, or I might do a journey that takes 30 minutes instead of 10 or 15. A lot of that is following your intuition as well, of course.
Sure.
But for starting out, 10 or 15 minutes is wonderful. that's a really good time period to fit into your schedule, but also still get some beautiful insights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is very inspiring. I really love hearing you describe all this. It's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And so one more thing I want to say about that is, once you get your insight or you get your answer, take action on it. Through all of this, one thing that's just so important is, do not doubt it. Trust it and do something. So if you have some kind of answer that comes to you, maybe through a spirit animal, or maybe through an unexpected phone call, and you just feel that kind of flutter in your heart, and this is something meaningful, take action on it. Follow it, because when we're trying to find our life's path and our life's purpose, it happens gradually and it happens one step at a time, but it's so important to follow each step and to recognize the meaning there, that deeper meaning is real. It's not in your head. It's not made up. It's real. And it is magic, and it is there for you to take advantage of. So take action. Yeah. So then my last key for accessing the mystery is to think big, really big. So this goes again to, we tend to feel that we're limited. We tend to think that there's not enough money, not enough time. How can I'm so tired at the end of the day. How can I then, if I work full time and then I come home and I take care of my kids, how can I then find any space for me to discover my life's purpose? Like it seems almost silly at times when we get caught up in the day-to-day things. So I encourage you to think outside the box and try to sit back, maybe take a half an hour and look at what's going on in your life, what's really important, and identify the places where you are making an assumption that you are limited. And look at how you can try to see the larger truth of the situation. So assumptions are very dangerous. So we may assume, so for me, when I was working full time with 2 little kids, the main breadwinner of my family, and all of a sudden I knew that I wanted to create Sacred Planet. And it just, this came to me through, various different kind of insights and knowings along the way. But how to find time for that? And so I started carving out little parts of the day. I would get up a half an hour earlier, or I would fight off the tiredness at night after I got my kids in bed and work on it for a half an hour or an hour in the evening. And as the momentum gains with these things, you start to get more energy from them. I think that energetic component is so important. Because when you start out trying to figure out what your life purpose is, or how can I access the mystery, it feels very daunting. It feels very big, and can make you feel tired just thinking about it. But know that as you step into that, you will get more and more energy from it, and you will gain momentum. So another way to look at this, think big idea is look at what you are accomplishing in your life, and look at how you could take it to the next level. So, look at what your passion is and what you love. So, for example, if you work at a school, if you're a teacher at a school, and let's say that you have helped the school create a little herb garden or a little vegetable garden, so that the kids can learn about gardening and about growing things, and living things. Think about how you could expand that. Could you bring that to 1 more school? Could you bring that to 4 more schools? What could happen from there? Something really big could happen, because that just food and understanding, how plants grow and how vegetables grow. That is so foundational for kids, and it's something most of them are not getting in their school right now. So something that small can turn into something really big and powerful and meaningful. So I urge you to look at your passion, look at what really moves you, and look at what you're already doing around that in little pieces in your life, and just how can you expand it? How can you think outside of the box and make it bigger? Um, also if you are, if you have a small business, I know many people, many people listening to the summit are light workers and healers and counselors and coaches that are making the world a brighter place. And so if you have a small business, how can you reach more people? How can you expand that to do even more amazing and incredible work in the world? Can you go online and take it to a wider audience, or can you find a way to, instead of working one-on-one, create a course to reach more people at a time? So those are some ideas around what I mean by think big. But I feel like that's where the magic can happen for a lot of us, when we step out of those limitations, look outside the box, and think big, and think what else, what more,
A woman I was speaking to the other night said she's taken "I'm too busy" out of her vocabulary. She won't say it anymore or think it.
Yeah.
Just take it away. And I thought, that's inspiring, because that's a mantra that I have in my head, whether I'm saying it out loud to myself or not. But
Yeah.
And you've said as much to me before. You said once that if there's something I want to do, I can always find time for it. And I thought, you're right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. And we, I know I'm very busy, but it's somehow, and with little kids, it's a busy time, but there is a way. There's always a way. And if it's your passion, then don't ignore that. You cannot afford to ignore it. Yeah. So those are the 4 ways.
Okay, well, thank you. I would love to hear you telling us something about your own experiences with the mystery, some of your stories.
Yeah. I have many stories. Some are big and some are small. I'll share a little one and then a big one, I guess. So this is kind of a small thing. To me, it's actually kind of big, but it was just a little thing in how it happened. So recently, this was actually just on Christmas Day. I love to go out in my backyard. There are these pine trees out there that are just, really, really beautiful and very inspiring to me. So on Christmas Day, I was in my backyard and I was looking out. The sun was kind of setting in the west, slightly in the southwest over this way. So I was looking toward the sunset, and I realized all of a sudden that I was looking at a huge spider web. And now spider is very important to me. Spider is definitely one of my power animals, and it has to do with connections, like the connections between people all around the world to make change and make a difference, and like creating these summits and creating those connections. So any messages from spider are very kind of big for me. So there was this huge spider web spun among the trees. It was beautiful. It was gigantic, but it was Christmas Day, and I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Maryland. It was freezing cold. So I thought, there's no way there could be a spider. So I kind of ran over, to get a closer look at it. And as I got closer, it disappeared. So I was like, this is really strange. So I went back to where I was when I had originally seen it. And I realized that the way the sun was shining through the pine needles was creating these concentric circles of sun glare off of pine needles. It was absolutely incredible. And so I went back and stood there again and looked at it, and there it was again, this huge, just a massive spider web, as clear as day. But what it was light reflecting off of pine needles.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Just absolutely beautiful, and these are the kind of things that, like, you can't take a picture of that. It would never come out, so it's just magical. And it was there, but it wasn't there, but it was there.
And it was just for you.
Just for me, right, right. And that's how a lot of these things are in nature. Like, it's just for you. So that's a little one. That's a little one. But again, very meaningful to me. So I had, and I have shared this before, but I had an absolutely incredible experience of receiving images and messages through shamanic journeys. So at the beginning of 2016, I made a really strong commitment to my shamanic journeying practice. And I was journeying almost every day, definitely at least every other day. And I started to get some really powerful images and some powerful messages. So I every time that I would journey, I returned to this same place. It was a place I had never been in my life, in my, that I know of. And it was a place where there was this snow-capped mountain off in the distance, some kind of scraggly trees and water at the base of the mountain. And then I was standing in a grassy area with a forest, like a pine forest behind me. And every time I would journey, I would come to this place and stand there and stare up at this beautiful mountain and watch this water rushing by at the base of the mountain. But I didn't know what it meant. I just, there's something was powerful about it. And then I started to hear, you need to go to New Mexico. And so I was, relatively new to shamanic journeying at the time. And I was, and you start to doubt it at times, and you start to think, am I just making this up? So, and I didn't know anything about New Mexico. I'd never considered going there. But I'm connected to the Pachamama Alliance. I used to blog for them. And so at one point, fairly soon after that, I was on their website and I saw that they were offering a journey. They do Pachamama Alliance journeys that are like spiritual journeys. They started out being just to the rainforest, but they were offering a journey to New Mexico to study with a woman named Pat McCabe, or Woman Stands Shining, who actually, her interview is part of the summit too. She's airing on February 14th. So definitely you don't want to miss that one. And it was a chance to study with her in New Mexico. So I thought, oh, interesting. I can go to New Mexico. My journey told me I need to go to New Mexico. So I thought about it, debated going, and decided to go. So fast forward to, when I arrived in New Mexico, I knew nothing about the terrain there. I expected it to be kind of just flat and desert-like. Well, you can imagine my surprise when, as we were driving into Taos, which is where we were staying, this beautiful snow-capped mountain that I had been seeing for months and months in my shamanic journeys was there. It was right there. We were staying very close to the base of it. It was there. And I get chills now just thinking about it. Absolutely beautiful. The mountain it showed itself to me. I knew nothing about that mountain. And there it was. And even to the point where on one of the days while we were visiting, I was standing in that exact landscape that I had seen, with the trees behind me, standing in a flat grassy area, scraggly bushes and water and the mountain. I mean, just exactly as I had seen it. It was so, so beautiful. And there's even more about that trip that I could tell. There were just incredible synchronistic and magical things that happened on that trip. But that, just to have something come to me in a journey in that way, in a shamanic journey, and then to see it in real life and have it called me there. I have no doubt. And this is the voice of Mother Earth that is talking to us. Just magical.
Yeah, I get shivers all over as you're telling your story. It just really, really shudders my bones. So
beautiful. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. But this is what is available to us. The truth to every one of us.
And it's almost like you're traveling there in the dream time when you're journeying, and there you are in that very landscape, but in your dream self, dream body.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope that mountain continues to talk to you. I'm sure it will.
It does. It definitely does. Yes. Beautiful. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, how when you work with your clients, how do you help them understand how to access this mystery and understand how it is showing up in their lives?
Yeah. And that's a very important part of my work with my clients, definitely, particularly for someone who's looking to discover their life's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That is just a critically important part, because that, that's how you find out.
Yeah, right.
Is to tap into intuition and dreams and synchronicities. That's how we find out. So one way is that I really love to lead my clients on what I call brainstorming and visioning sessions.
Oh,
And
nice.
this is just to really draw out their inner wisdom, to get, so I ask them to, or I play a meditation for them at times, but to get into a meditative state, a really focused, high, state of high consciousness. And the things that come out in these sessions are incredible. Like the possibilities, the opportunities, the resources that are there that they had never thought of before. The new ways of doing something that they've been trying for 10 years to get off the ground, and all of a sudden this idea is there, and it will make it happen. So those are really powerful sessions. So that's one thing that we can do. I also always recommend to my clients to spend more time in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 5 minutes a day. Just go out and I think it's so important in nature to look up. There, looking down is good too, because that's Mother Earth and that's the ground, and there are beautiful things there. But I get so much inspiration from looking up and seeing the trees, the trees branching out toward the heavens. If it's nighttime, to see the stars and the moon and the planets. And in the daytime, to see the birds, see what birds come by. Birds, very frequently bring important messages, whether you see an eagle or a hawk or a crow or a blackbird. I think the different types of birds, bring different messages. But look up, go out in nature and look up, and you'll be amazed.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's important to read a lot. So I recommend to my clients to read, like for women, for example, if you haven't read Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, I mean, that is just an absolute, will open up your soul, open up your intuition. If you haven't read that, go out and buy it today.
Mm-hmm.
There are, certain books like the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, that just open us up to new possibilities. But really, I recommend that to read whatever you're drawn to, whatever inspires you. Like for me, it was reading about different religions for a certain period there, and just trying to wrap my head around all of that, all those different perspectives, different ways of living, and ways of perceiving the divine in our lives. And I think another thing that I recommend is to set those intentions, to remember your dreams, and to hear your intuition, because we have to bring that into our conscious awareness and ask again and again, sometimes before it will happen. And also, as far as the dreams, Tarja, you do dream work with clients. So I highly recommend, if anybody's interested in delving into your dreams, even if you can't remember them, book a session with Tarja. She will take you amazing places. She will help you learn amazing things about yourself that you had never realized before. But yeah, that tapping into that dream world, I think, is so important. And as you have shared with me, Tarja, even our waking dreams, the symbols that we see, or the kind of the stories that are recurring in our lives, that's our waking dream, and that's so important too. Right. So yeah, the dream world and intuition, really, doing everything you can to open up to those. That's another thing I recommend to my clients.
Yeah, weaving all the worlds together like that is so beautiful. And you're reminding me, as you're talking about reading, I'm hearing the story in my head that says I'm too busy to read. I'm going to get rid of that story.
Yes, reading is so important.
Thank you. We need to remind each other that these are important. Yeah.
Definitely.
So tell us, Jocelyn, if you have projects or any events coming up that you'd like to tell us about.
Yeah, definitely. So the one that I'm so excited about is we have a women's retreat coming up in May. And Tarja is a part of that. And some of the other speakers on the summit will be a part of it as well. Tanishka, Rachel, and who am I? Oh, and Simone Wright. So we will all be coming together, and also Christine Hassler, who's not a part of this summit. She's an incredible speaker and brings brings incredible insights. All of us will be speaking and doing creating very experiential workshops at this women's retreat. It will be from May 5th through the 8th, 2017. It will be in the sacred and powerful Great Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, where Tarja is located. And it will be at Cayuga Resort Center. So this is just a really beautiful place. It is a very sacred place. I just found out in talking to someone yesterday, Tarja, that there is on May 5th and 6th in Asheville, there is a gathering of women seers and visionaries.
Wow.
So something powerful is happening in that place that weekend. There are a lot of women, visionary women are coming there. So I'm so excited because I just, and we've all talked about this, you know, you and I and the other speakers, but the idea for this retreat is for people who are either looking to discover their life's purpose or who have a vision, have a business, and want to launch it to the world in a bigger way, to come listen to these amazing speakers, get insights, get new ideas, and connect with your intuition about how you can launch your passion forward. But at the same time, we're all quite clear that something much bigger is going to happen from this, and we don't even fully know what it is yet, but that the women who come are going to be there for a very special and specific reason, that we are all, those of us who will be there, are meant to connect in a very special way. And you know, women coming together is so powerful. As you'll hear in another interview from Ilarion Merkuliev, when women come together, we can access the womb at the center of the universe, as he says, and birth something entirely new that we have never seen before. And that's what we need to do at this time. I mean, we're clearly at a time of great change and crisis in the world.
Yes.
We need to create something entirely new. And so that's really the you know, the core idea behind bringing all these women together for this retreat. So anyone who feels inspired by that, I welcome you to come gather with us. We're going to do sacred dance. We're going to do a oneness ceremony. We're going to have 6 different experiential workshops from our 6 different speakers. And we're going to also have a mastermind session where all of the speakers will be available to field your personal and business questions. It's going to be really incredible. It's going to be a life-changing experience. And as I said, I just know we're going to create something even bigger than we even realize at this point.
I fully believe that.
Yeah.
Where did people go to find out about the retreat? Will it be on your page?
It'll be, so this interview is on my speaker page, you know, in the summit. So right below this interview, just scroll down a little bit and you'll see a link to learn more about the retreat and register if you're interested.
And I will tell you, there's magic in these mountains. I went to a conference at Cayuga in 2003, and after that, I changed my life radically. I moved out of Los Angeles, where I'd lived for 30 years, moved out here, started a retreat center, began my work, and it was something about the magic in these mountains. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So,
and I know you shared that some geologists say that these are the most ancient mountains in the world.
That's what they say. These are the oldest mountains in the world, these mountains here. So we're digging into some really deep knowledge and wisdom when you're here. And they say there's a lot of crystal rock in these mountains. So there's something about that too. So even the mountains themselves will be our teachers when we come together.
Yes. Yeah. And we will be spending as much time as we can outside.
Yeah.
And Tarja's workshop, I'm so excited about your workshop that will be about vision questing and the dream time. And we'll be inviting those who feel called to do so to go on kind of a little mini vision quest.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going to be really amazing. I invite everyone, if you feel called, answer that call, take action, and come to the retreat, because it's going to be really amazing. And we do have a few spots left. So one other thing that I do want to share that I'm offering is, especially if you're interested in the, this accessing the mystery, the idea of that, and bringing more of that into your life, more connection to spirit, more magic. I am creating an online course. It will be a 5-week online course. It will start at the beginning of March. And there's more information about that if you scroll down on this page too. So it is called The Space Between Dreaming and Awake. So it's about accessing the unseen realms and the trance state, to really, find out our life's purpose, or take our vision to the next level, and redesign our lives in 2017. That's what it's all about. So if you're interested in that, I welcome you to check it out. It is at a special early bird price right now. So if you scroll down, you'll see more details about that. And it's going to be in the format of live webinars every week. So there will be a live Q&A where I'll be doing on-the-spot coaching for anybody who is interested, who wants to ask a question about their own personal experience. I will be talking to you, one-on-one there in the webinar. So I'm very excited to be offering that.
Good for you, Jocelyn. You are such a visionary woman, and I am so impressed always that you see it and then you do it. A lot of us see things, but we don't actually do it. But you're so on it. I'm so inspired by you. I've really enjoyed being able to interview you and be in this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Terry. And I am so inspired by you and all that you have done, and your amazing dream work, and all of the work that you have done. So yeah, thank you.
Yes.
And thank you for doing this interview with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah. So to everyone listening, enjoy the rest of the summit. I hope you get to listen to all of the interviews. As I said at the beginning, all of the speakers are just absolutely amazing and unique, and bring a new type of wisdom every day, every interview. So it's really beautiful. I hope you'll get to enjoy all of them. Thank you again, Tarja.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Just wonderful.
Thank you.